All right, intensified algebra students. So I have our lesson for the week. I kind of like doing this whiteboard thing through Zoom. Makes it easier on my end. So I want to talk to you about quadratics. So these notes will be called quadratic graphs. So there are a bunch of different parts of quadratic graphs here. Okay, when you have a quadratic is this line. It's called a parabola. Okay. This is called a parabola right here. It goes, this one opens up, so it goes down, and it goes to a bottom point. We call that a vertex, okay? And it goes back up like this. So there's some key points that I want to talk about in terms of identifying what's the key information of a quadratic graph. So first thing you want to notice is this low point. It could be a high point too if your graph opens down. Is called the vertex. Okay, that's going to be the lowest or highest point on your graph. So this is the lowest or highest point on the graph. That's our vertex. Okay. Now, if we look here at where we cross the x-axis, those are called your zeros or roots or solutions. It's kind of got three names. Okay, I don't know why we call it so many different things, but we do. So this is where you cross the x-axis. Add some parentheses in here so we know. Okay, next we have the y-intercept. Okay, so the y-intercept is our c value. I underlined my c over here. I underline this c right here because our y-intercept is always going to be this number at the end of our equation. And this right here is called the standard form for a quadratic. Okay, so these are all the different parts of a quadratic that we would need to identify. I guess the last one I can mention quickly is this axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry, the AOS, is this middle line that cuts the graph in half. So if I have a point over here, I need to have another point equidistant on this side. That's why it's called symmetry, symmetrical, right? Like cover half your face. This half should match that half if you're symmetrical. So our axis of symmetry, I'm going to add something to this. It is the x value of our vertex. And in later weeks, we're going to talk about how you can get all of these points from the equation. But this week, I just want to work on identifying the points. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share a different screen with you guys. And I have this Desmos screen. So I went over here and I'm sharing this Desmos screen now. So this is a quadratic, right? I can zoom out on this and you see that this goes on forever and ever and ever. It's called a parabola. Okay, so I'm going to start to identify some of these key points. Okay, so the first thing I want to identify is this. That's our y-intercept. And I'm just clicking on the points to identify them. Okay, here's our equation. Y equals x squared minus 4x plus 3. So my y-intercept is 3. And you might notice that 3 is also this c value, this very last value right there. So your y-intercept will always be this last value. Next, I have my zeros. So I have a 0 at 1 and at 3. Okay. Next, I have 2, -1. This is my vertex. Okay. This is my vertex. I'm wondering if I can add little oh, I can't. I wanted to add little clips in here, but I couldn't. So here's my zeros, my y-intercept, and my vertex. And this imaginary line going right down the middle is my axis of symmetry. So for your homework this week, I'm going to be giving you a bunch of graphs, and I want you to identify all those key points. I need the y-intercept. I need all these different points. I need my y-intercept right here. Y-intercept, you got to identify my y-intercept, identify my 2 zeros, or 1 0. Some of them might only touch one time, or some might not touch at all. If that's the case, there's no zeros. And by touch, I mean touch the x-axis. And the last one I want to identify is this vertex. So you got to identify maximum 4 points on the graph, okay, and then identify all those. And that is your homework for this week on top of the homework from Mr. Hecox. All right. Hope you guys are doing well. Miss you guys. Make sure you guys are getting all your quizzes and stuff done. Later.